Local and live, covering Franklin and Washington counties, it's Let's Talk Tri-State with Tiny and Katy.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Tri-State, powered by Home Right Windows and Doors, the right choice winner in the 2024 Best of the Tri-State.
Our first guest today, we have Chief Jamie Drawbaugh from the Volunteer Fire Company of Halfway, Maryland. Thanks for being here with us today, Jamie.
Thank you for having me.
Walk us through the history of the Fire Company of Halfway, Maryland.
The Volunteer Fire Company of Halfway, Maryland was incorporated in 1949. This year is our 75th anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you. It's a huge milestone. We're a combination department. We employ our own personnel, our paramedics, and we have one paid driver. The rest is volunteer. So we are one of the busiest counties, Washington County stations that offer fire and EMS out of one facility. We run around 4,500 calls a year out of one station.
Do you find that you have a hard time getting volunteers?
Especially today, yes. Today's society has changed so much. 39 years ago when I joined the fire company at 15 years old, you know, that's what everybody did. Everybody joined the fire company, and there was a whole bunch of us that were there. Fast forward 39 years, I'm the chief now, and I'm struggling to get people. But again, society's changed, economy's changed. You know, the way families do things, dual income families is, you know, it's hard to volunteer. Plus, all of our training that's required is definitely an impact on getting volunteers.
When you want people who are willing to be all in,
correct,
as much as they can with their volunteer time, and to your point, with the economy such as it is, I'm sure it is difficult to find people who are they may want to join, but they say, man, I'm sorry, I got another part-time job, I need to do that.
The devotion of time is, and it's not only, I mean, in a volunteer corporation, it's not only the running the calls, it's not only taking the training and becoming certified as an EMT or a firefighter, which you're talking, you know, years of college, because everything's through the University of Maryland, but then you have fundraising. We have bingo. We have our cornhole tournament coming up this Sunday at Antietam Brewery. You know, we have to work those, plus, you know, so it's difficult.
Yeah, it's time consuming.
Sure. Yes, very time consuming.
So let's talk about some of the volunteer, some of the fundraising that you do have coming up. So when do you guys host bingo?
We host bingo 3 days a week.
Okay. Oh, 3 days a week?
3 days a week, yes, ma'am. We host it Wednesday afternoons, Friday evenings, and Sunday afternoons. And then I believe it's once a month on a Sunday. I think they skip certain months because of holidays and stuff, but we do a bingo bonanza, and that is a minimum of $500 payout per game, upwards to $1,000 a payout of a game of bingo.
Do you ever need help with announcing, like bingo announcers?
Like volunteers? Bingo callers?
Yeah.
Well, we will soon, because my son is the bingo caller right now, and he's about to get evicted, so
there you go.
He needs a job.
No. I do really enjoy that job, so if you ever need
someone
to
I can
step
tell
in.
you can make a lot of older women really mad at you really quick.
Yeah,
at
maybe
bingo.
maybe I won't step into that job then.
But to be fair, the older men that show up may like you.
That's true.
Which you gotta
look. We can kill two birds with one stone here.
Yeah.
Now, in regards to this area, you said you have about 4,500 calls a year. What do you think is the largest? What are you seeing the most of?
Medical calls are on a rise. The baby boomers are obviously getting older. People treat 911 like it's a doctor's office, and it's partially our fault for not educating the public on what we do and what we can do. Some people don't have insurance. Some people don't have a car to go to urgent care or whatever, so they rely on us. And we're not going to turn them down. I mean, that's morally and ethically wrong.
Yeah, of
that,
course.
you know, that's what we're here for, is to help them. So EMS calls are definitely on the rise. Fires are down, starting to come back around to increase with this time of the year, with heaters coming on and things like that.
And this is Fire Prevention Month, isn't it?
Yes, it is. October's Fire Prevention Month. Mrs. O'Leary's cow kicked over the lantern, started the Great Chicago Fire. That's why it's the first week of October every year.
Let me go back to something that you said, Jamie. I'm not, for anyone who's listening, watching, we certainly are not encouraging anyone to do this.
Oh boy.
But you were am I to understand that there are some people who, when they need a transport for a non-emergency, like to a doctor's appointment or something of that, they sometimes call you and expect that you are going to, or believe you might do that?
They won't call us direct. They'll call 911. Yes, it has happened. Yes.
And does 911? Obviously, there's a dispatcher between the caller and you.
There's a huge process before it ever gets to us. Yes.
I was going to say, so how? I'm interested in how that. I'm so sorry, but I'm very.
No, that's quite all right. It's quite all right. When you call 911, they have a PSAP. It's a primary answering point. The call taker takes the call, and they do all the information, and they have a flow chart that they have to follow. Then it gets passed to a dispatcher. The dispatcher then rack the call and what's the appropriate unit to go, location-wise, and things like that. And then depending on what the call is. So we've had repeat offenders, and we have to get medical director involved. We have to get the adult protective services, child protective services, the social, all kinds of the health department. There's so many factors that go into it.
So it's one of those. Usually, it's we'll do it this time, but.
Well, yeah, I mean, we do, and we will continue to do it because,
you're good people.
Sure.
It's the right thing to do.
Sure.
I mean, it's unfortunately, it taxes the system a lot. So.
And I'm sure people aren't doing that because they just want.
They're not doing it maliciously.
Right.
No, not at all. No, they
also a lack of education, like you said earlier.
Correct.
And you had mentioned before we went on the air here the move over law.
The move over law, yes. October again being the 17th was the National Do Not Disturb While Driving Day, and the 19th of October is National Move Over Day. The move over law is when we're operating along the roadways. The law is that you are to move over one lane away from, and that includes law enforcement, tow operators, road service, fire department, EMS, and a lot of that all started through ResponderSafety.com, which was initiated right here in the Tri-State area in March of 1998. Lionsville Fire Department in Pennsylvania had a line of duty death on the turnpike, and then in May 3rd, 1998, we had a line of duty death in Halfway where one of our guys was hit and killed on Interstate 81, which started the white paper to Congress, which changed the laws. It's
interesting. We had a Maryland State Police trooper on the show last week, and we were talking about this exact same thing.
Absolutely.
And how it is a problem, and people aren't moving over, and if you can't move over, at least
just slow down.
Yes.
Yep. He was saying he'd been hit 3 times in his career.
I've been hit once. I was hit June 12th, 2023 at my full-time career job.
Just last year?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I'm retired from Montgomery County now, and when I was working there, I was hit by a Ford F-150.
Do you attribute any of that because of distracted driving?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, and just not paying attention.
That's the biggest thing right now is they have a campaign out, don't be a D driver, distracted. So with everything in technology nowadays, with cell phones and iPads, and I mean, I drive down the road and I look over at a Tesla, and they're not even driving it. They're right. They're on their iPad or whatever, and it's like, okay, I get technology, but it only goes so far.
Well, and it's also nice that some cars now, a lot of cars, probably most of them, have the lane departure.
Yes, my wife's car has it. I hate it.
It
scares the crap out of me every time I do it.
So I'm a fan of it to an extent.
Sure.
I like that in this case. If that were to save at least one life, it's worth it.
Absolutely.
The feature that I can't stand is my wife's car has the 2 hands on the wheel, and it beeps you if you don't have 2 hands on the wheel.
Oh,
I told her, I said, I'm going to find that wire and it's going to cut.
Yes, that would be annoying.
What are you guys doing currently in the community for Fire Prevention Month?
We've had a couple of the daycares in our first area in the Halfway area reach out, and we take apparatus and go out and we do the stop, drop, and roll fire prevention stuff with the kids. Look, there's not a kid out there that doesn't like fire trucks. I'm just a big kid, and I still like fire trucks.
We like them too.
So yeah, but yeah, we've done that. If the communities reach out to us, we'll come out and do fire prevention stuff, or they can also come to us, schedule a time. We'll make sure we have somebody there. that's not assigned to riding a fire truck or an ambulance, because chances are we might not be there.
Right.
So we have somebody assigned to that spot to be there for them. We have a lot of like Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, troops, things like that that'll come through.
Yeah,
So.
we were saying a couple of weeks ago, I remember when I was a kid in the fire department, when the firefighters would come in and they would bring their uniform, and we could try on the uniform as little kids, and we would practice.
And that jacket was heavy.
Yeah, I loved it. Fond memories of that.
Yeah, I have fond memories of that every day.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But yeah, we try not to put it on the kids anymore, just because of all the carcinogens and everything that are in our gear, and cancer and things like that. We're trying to be
we
healthier.
didn't know then, right?
I drank out of a garden hose, rode the back of a pickup truck. I'm
With lead
okay.
paint.
Right, I'm okay.
Yeah. So we often hear about the horror stories that you come across, of which I'm sure are far too many. Well, let's focus on some good stories, some good times. What's a moment that stands out to you that was probably one of your most rewarding while you were in the line of duty?
Wow.
Yeah, that's a big. He's been there for 39 years.
Goodness
Well,
gracious.
then you should have at least one.
Yeah. No, unfortunately, nobody ever asked that question.
That's a great question.
It's what's the worst thing you've ever seen?
Exactly.
It's like, oh my goodness,
It's fascination with the negative.
Yeah, pretty much. And well, I wouldn't discuss it anyway, because I'm not going to subject people to that.
Sure.
I was on a vehicle accident one time. As a motorcyclist who was struck by a vehicle, and I honestly did not believe he was going to survive the ride to the hospital. And like 6 months later, he walked into the fire station to thank us. So to me, that's the reward. That's yesterday. I ran a medical call with my ambulance. I happened to be in the area, ran a medical call, and we were at a restaurant, and there's a gentleman with his daughter out in the parking lot, and she's just, oogling at the lights flashing and everything. I carried plastic fire helmets in my chief's car.
Right.
I got one. I said, "You got to tell me what your name is." Handed a helmet. Positive interaction.
Absolutely.
That's, so like I was telling you earlier, it takes 10 good things to undo the one bad thing that we do. But that's the dad and the kid who's going to remember, he took 5 minutes out to,
Yep.
Absolutely.
I'm hoping that little girl comes to the fire station one day and puts an application in.
Right.
Somebody's got to take my job.
I was just going to say, I'm sure that you have volunteer opportunities available.
Absolutely, yes. And whether you want to ride fire trucks and ambulances or you don't, we have administrative duties. We have fundraising. We have so many other things that go on, and it's hard for the crews that actually run the calls to do everything. It's how much do we ask of one person?
And we need you.
And it's volunteer.
Yeah, and we need you. The community needs you.
I'd like to think so.
Anything that can be done to lessen the load a little bit, even
Absolutely.
just answering the phones for a couple hours.
Absolutely, yes. I mean, you'd be amazed at just the amount of paperwork, filing, computer work, things like that. Because every time we run a call, there's paperwork that has to be done. There's reports. There's all kinds of stuff that needs done. So.
Do you offer? Because I was an educator for so many years, can kids come through and take a field trip?
Yes, absolutely. HCC had a program over the summer for, it was like what do you want to be when you grow up, for 10th graders. So over the summer, they brought these kids in for a week at a time, and they did one with police, fire, and EMS. I'm the full-time fire rescue instructor now for Washington County at the new training center. They came there. We took them to halfway for a day, put them in the fire truck, put them in the ambulance, did everything. Those kids loved it. So yes, we will do that. We actually have a young gentleman at my fire station now who is a licensed EMT. He is 16 years old, and he does half day morning at school, and he does the work at the fire station. So he's considered working for us during his half day of school, and he's getting his credits that way.
I'm sure that when you're doing that and you put some of those kids in a fire truck or in an ambulance, that's the moment that they knew.
Oh yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
This is what I want to do.
Absolutely. Yeah. You either know it or you're like, yep, this is not for me.
Yeah.
So.
Well, Jamie, thank you so much for spending time with us today on Let's Talk Tri-State. We always love having you in, and hopefully you'll come back again. And
oh, absolutely.
You're
Anytime.
always
Thank you
welcome.
guys.
Absolutely.
Thank you guys.
Coming up, we're going to take a look at news and sports, and it's all powered by 2A Arms, 2A Arms LLC, 2A and PA Firearms and Freedom.
If you'd like to be featured on an upcoming episode of Let's Talk Tri-State, call 717-597-9200 or email letstalk@921thegoat.com.